When we think of King David, we usually picture the young shepherd who took down a giant. But honestly, that's not even the most impressive part of his story. His real legacy is being a master nation builder. I mean, he took a bunch of scattered, feuding tribes and forged them into a real kingdom. This isn't just some ancient tale, it's a blueprint for building something that lasts. Okay, let's get into it. Everything really kicks off with these words. This was the cry from all the tribes of Israel coming to David at Hebron. You have to remember, after the chaos of King Saul's reign, people were just desperate for a leader who could pull them all together. And this phrase, your own flesh and blood, it was so much more than just saying they were related. It was a plea, a promise, and a mandate for a brand new start. So getting the people to back him was obviously huge. But that's just step one, right? Winning hearts and minds isn't enough to build a nation that will actually stand the test of time. In this explainer, we're going to break down the 3 strategic pillars David used to build his kingdom from the ground up. First, he had to lock down his legitimacy. Second, he needed a real capital. And third, he had to secure the whole thing through conquest. So, first things first, legitimacy. David couldn't just show up and declare himself king and expect everyone to go along with it. No way. He needed everybody's consent, a mandate that wasn't just popular with the people, but, and this is critical, was seen as being blessed by God. Now, this is really interesting because the elders basically came to him with this perfect 3-part argument for why it had to be him. First up, heritage. Hey, you're one of us. Second, his resume. They reminded him, you were the one leading Israel's armies. The guy was a proven winner on the battlefield. And then the clincher, divine right. They literally quoted God's promise that David would be the one to shepherd Israel. It was the perfect trifecta, popular, practical, and prophetic support. And get this, he was only 30 years old when this all went down. 30. This wasn't some old veteran taking a victory lap at the end of his career. He was young, he was full of energy, and he had his whole life ahead of him to actually build the kingdom he'd just been handed. And this timeline just perfectly illustrates how he consolidated his power. Look, he didn't become king of everyone all at once. He was playing the long game. For 7.5 years, he ruled just his own tribe, Judah, from the city of Hebron. It was only after he proved himself there that he made the jump to ruling the entire United Nation for the next 33 years from a totally new capital. Okay, so the people are unified behind him. Now what? He needs a headquarters, a center of gravity for this new kingdom. His current base, Hebron, was the heart of his own tribe. But to rule everybody fairly, he couldn't play favorites. He needed a neutral city, a spot that belonged to no single tribe, but to all of them, and ultimately to him. He set his sights on Jerusalem. Just one tiny problem. Jerusalem was occupied by the Jebusites, and it was basically a fortress on a hill. They were so confident in their defenses, they literally mocked David with this taunt. They were saying their city was so secure, so impenetrable, that they could put their most vulnerable citizens on the walls, and he still wouldn't be able to get in. Yeah, about that. Despite all the taunts, despite the legendary fortifications, David did it. He captured the fortress. His forces found a weak spot, probably a water shaft leading into the city, and they took it. It was this absolutely stunning victory that sent a message to everyone. Do not underestimate this new king. And what's the very first thing he does? He rebrands it. He calls it the City of David. Now, this wasn't just ego. This was a brilliant political move. He takes this neutral ground and makes it his own personal property. It's a new center of power that's loyal only to him, completely outside of all the old tribal politics. And this power move didn't just impress his own people, it put David on the international map. Think about it. Soon after, King Hiram of Tyre, a major player in the region, sends an entire construction crew with premium cedar logs to build David a palace. That's the ultimate sign of legitimacy. It's other kings recognizing you as a king. David wasn't just a local hero anymore. He was a player on the world stage. Okay, so David's got the people's support, and he's got a strong capital city. But what good is a kingdom if you can't actually defend it? And that brings us to the final crucial piece of his blueprint, taking care of the biggest threat Israel had, the Philistines. You know, the Philistines could see exactly what was happening. A divided Israel was weak and easy to manage. But a united Israel under a commander as skilled as David, that was a massive threat to their own power. So the second they heard he'd been crowned king over all of Israel, they launched an attack.
So, with this huge threat right on his doorstep, what's David's first move? Does he rally the troops? Does he draw up a battle plan? Nope. The first thing he does is inquire of the Lord. And this is such a key part of his leadership style. He always seeks a higher strategy before he makes a move, mixing his faith with his incredible battlefield instincts.
And what happens next is just a masterclass in strategic flexibility. He ends up fighting the Philistines twice, back to back. The first time, the divine command is simple: go, a direct head-on assault. But the second time, the strategy is the complete opposite: do not go straight up. Instead, he's told to pull off this complex flanking maneuver. After that first crushing victory, David said this. You can almost feel the astonishment in his voice, can't you? He describes the attack as being like a flash flood breaking through a dam, just sudden, overwhelming, and unstoppable. He even names the battlefield Baal Perazim, which means the Lord who breaks out. But this second battle plan was way more sophisticated. I mean, this is special forces stuff. It required stealth, patience, and perfect timing. He's told to circle around the entire enemy army, hide his forces by some trees, and then wait. Wait for the strange, eerie signal, the sound of marching in the treetops. And only then could he launch the surprise attack. He followed the plan to the letter, and it completely routed the Philistines. And there you have it, the three-step kingdom-building blueprint. Step 1, earn legitimacy, getting the people and God on your side. Step 2, establish a strong central capital that is unquestionably yours. And Step 3, secure your borders by decisively taking out your biggest threats. I mean, David's story pretty clearly shows that he needed all three to succeed. It's like a three-legged stool. You take one leg away and the whole thing comes crashing down. But it does leave us with this timeless question for any leader, then or now. If you could only have one, what's the most essential foundation for lasting power? Something to think about.